Hey everyone, welcome to another video from Melbourne Gardener. Today I am talking about trusses. So you can probably see that I have a wooden truss set up, and it's also got some reinforcement metal kind of beams that need to be installed as part of structural integrity and in ensuring there's enough support so that the trusses don't move too much. You could argue that they are not needed, but you could also argue that for safety, that's been installed as part of new regulations. Some older pergolas may not have that. So let me tell you a bit more about trusses. So trusses have requirements around what construction and what thickness they have, and it determines what gap and spacing you need. There are specific websites that talk about that, but in fairness, your engineer, who will be an architect and engineer, will determine what those requirements are, and in the drawings they will specify. So the way to go about it is you have to discuss that with your architect and say, hey, this is the type of pergola that I want to construct, and I want it out of wood, etc. And they will come up with a design. If you don't specify, they will just, create a design for you. And if you don't like it, you'll need to ask them to modify it, and maybe they might charge you a little bit more money for every modification. So have a think about what truss design you want and how much spacing you would like to have, because ultimately, you are the customer, and you should be able to make some decisions on that. Not everything's possible, but and if you wanted an open canopy without any trusses, then potentially wood might not be the right one. Look, for me, my trusses are full length, so it goes from one side all the way to the other with one beam. Some truss designs only reinforce the top. Again, it's a design. It is a design choice, and based on that design choice, there may be engineering complications or modifications that are required. To be honest, I probably should have looked at more pergolas before I made my choice. In hindsight, would I have chosen this pergola design? I think maybe a higher support rather than a full length would have been much nicer looking. However, I'm not too fussed with this one, and I don't mind this look and feel. How do you choose? So now that the architect and engineer have worked out the spacing, have worked out the design, and you've got plans for it, what do you do with that? Well, the second step on that one is now looking for truss companies. So in the olden days, you would have a carpenter who would just build these trusses for you, bit by bit. However, nowadays everything is pre-engineered, prefabricated to specifications, and they will deliver it to you on site. So if you see closely, these trusses are prefabricated. They've got these kind of nail sheets that hold everything together. There's also these little tiny kind of staples, I suppose, that again reinforce and make sure everything is according to specifications. A truss company will typically ask you to give them all your drawings, and then they will prefabricate it. one consideration to think and note about is that if you have an existing house and you are building this, you will need to, and I stress that you will probably need that truss company to come out and do a measure. If it's a new build, things are very straightforward. You have a 4.4 meter gap and 4.4 meter width, and they will just you can just give them the plans, because you know that the carpenter and the house is all new and the lengths are perfectly lined up. However, in my situation, and I think I alluded to it in the first video, is that nothing is exactly what it seems. You may look at this and go, oh, that looks pretty straight, but I can tell you, in person, there's a little bit of warping, a little bit of curving happening there. Why is that? Well, old houses aren't perfect. Look, and neither are new builds, but definitely old houses are less perfect than new houses. So, and also if you look at, I'm not sure if you can see, but it's not dead straight either. It's not dead plumb. It's curved just a little bit this way. And what that means is that some of these supports are not 90 degrees. That is something also my carpenter needs to do. So what did we do? We got the truss company to come out. I had my carpenter on site. We double and triple checked the lengths for each of the trusses. We also then measured the height, because we wanted to match the carport, and basically after many measurements and calculations, we gave that all to the truss company. They put all those details into a computer, and it tells them like what length and what degrees and angles is required. One thing to note is that we created a bit of a gap here for the gutter. Now that is really important as well, because the gap for the gutter also changes. So you can tell that this one is touching, whereas maybe down here it's not touching. And so that's really important, because as you move along, and you need to make sure that you've given enough length for that truss, so that your carpenter can shave off enough so that it all fits in place. The carpenter also had to shave off a little bit at the bottom to make it sit plumb, and so that there was enough support for the truss. So they will deliver all of that onto site and just leave it there with all the supporting beams, supporting metal rods or whatever you call it, and it requires at least 2 people to get those trusses up and into those supports. I remember helping my carpenter because I felt like I could. I think his apprentice was busy, and I wanted to speed things up. And so you needed that beam over here, that beam over here. Make sure it's 100% aligned and it's straight, dead straight, and then you, just measure. You measure where the brackets need to sit, and you start putting all the brackets in, and then you put the trusses in, and you basically hammer in all those nails so that it's sturdy. Once the trusses have all gone in, the next step is to put all those metal braces across, and that is done by the carpenter with a nail gun. And yeah, based on the drawings that your architect and engineer have put in place. Or actually, it's probably based on the truss company that have provided you with the requirements in order to satisfy the structural integrity and the strength that they that they can guarantee. Once that's all in place, it's time to put on the pergola sheets, the roofing sheets. With roofing sheets, there is a requirement for existing builds anyway, is that there's a lighting requirement into rooms. So the reason why we chose the clear ones, one was because it was nice and clear and brings a lot of light in here, but there's also a requirement to ensure that these habitable rooms have enough light. If they don't have enough light, your plans will get rejected. Don't ask me why, but that's the council rules. So we chose this kind of opaque roofing sheet, and it allows 90% of light in, and it has quite a lot of it has a bit of UV protection as well. We got that from Bunnings. It was Suntough, I believe the brand was, and I had to cut them to length based on which side I was installing it, because it's not 100% the same length. All right, hopefully that was a useful video on trusses, and you can understand a little bit more about considerations around pergola, installing a pergola. And the question is, did I make any mistakes with the trusses? Thankfully, no, because the outlay for for trusses altogether are about $3,000 to $4,000, and so we really spent a little bit more time measuring everything up there to a point where the truss company was a little bit fed up with us, because their new builds are super easy, whereas with existing builds they thought we were a little bit too fussy, and they didn't like it. But we got it right, thankfully, and they got it right. So that was the benefit. Okay, hope you learned something, and we'll see you in the next video. Next video, I will probably talk about I don't know. I think that's pretty much it with the pergola. If you do think that there's something that I've missed, if you think that if you have questions about certain parts of the process, let me know, and I'll make another video on pergolas. But I'll probably get back to videos about my garden and chickens. All right, have a wonderful day.